It's an honor to be nominated for this award. Rewind about 10, 15 years or so. I was born here in the United States and like lived between the US and Canada. But during the end of my teenage years, I ended up moving to the Philippines. Life was kind of difficult back then. I was young. I was going to college, just starting college. I always knew I was different than everyone else. Growing up here in a predominantly white community, I was also struggling with my sexuality. I just come out of the closet, so I was different. It didn't feel like I belonged. I think growing up in an Asian American household, we're really pushed to perform, whether it's academically or in the fine arts or in the community. And I just felt all that pressure. It just didn't seem fair to me that no matter how hard I tried, no matter how well I performed in school or in my extracurriculars, because I was different, that I would be treated differently. Eventually, one like Christmas holiday time, I had I felt very sick, and I didn't think it was that serious because I'd always get sick around that time, and I'd always attribute it to just overworking myself and not getting enough sleep. And I was actually on a television show. I don't even remember anymore, but I was doing some sort of guesting, and I almost passed out on television. So I told the producer, I'm like, I gotta go to the hospital. I'm not feeling well at all. So I ended up going to the hospital. Right when I got into the lobby, I just remember I was about to check in, and then I just passed out in the middle of the lobby. And when I woke up, it was a couple of hours later, or I don't know how much time had passed, but I was on a table in the emergency room with all these doctors and nurses, looking over me. I had all these IVs and needles stuck in me. I was like, oh, dang, this is serious. I had no idea what was going on. I thought I just had the flu, or maybe it was just like heat exhaustion, because obviously the Philippines is a tropical country and I was doing so much work. But I looked at the doctor and I said, what's wrong? Is everything am I going to be okay? And, the doctor had told me, oh, you'll be fine. Just hang in there. But he wasn't a good actor. He was not and I was like, you got to tell me straight up here, because it looks very serious from the way that you're talking to me, and with everything that's going on here. If it's very serious, I'd like to call my parents in the US. And if it's really that serious, I'd like to have a priest here to, perform rites on me, just in case. And he said, yeah, if you can get your cell phone, you can call them, because it's very serious. You might not make it. After realizing that and talking to my parents, I called up my mom, and I was like, I didn't even know what was going on, but I told them, I'm here in the emergency room here at this hospital, but I don't, the doctor says I might not make it. So I just wanted to, call you and let you know that I love you and I might not see you again. I ended up, it was a fight for my life, even though I didn't really know it at the time. It took a while to to process that I might not make it, but I had a near-death experience, which would be an extremely long story. But I just remember when I was on that table, and I didn't know if I would survive. I just remembered, if I did survive, I promised to God that I would devote my life to bringing healing to others, so that they wouldn't have to go through the same situation that I had gone through. Basically, the infection got into my spine, got into my hips, into my legs. I wasn't able to walk. I'd grown, by the time I arrived in the US, I was 91, 92 pounds, I think. Wow. So I lost a lot of weight because the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me in the Philippines. But, I got here, as soon as I got off the plane, they sent me straight to Detroit Receiving. I was in the hospital for several months. After several more months of physical therapy, learning how to walk again, after getting that infection under control, I was back and at least appearing healthy. I do have underlying issues that are not that obvious, but at least I was able to survive. I'm president of our local chapter for the Student National Pharmaceutical Association. I'm vice president of international affairs for the American Pharmaceutical APHA student chapter at our school. In my roles there, it's pretty much the same. I think rather than building upon a sick care system rather than a preventative healthcare system here in the US. We need to educate the community about how to stay healthy and how to prevent themselves from getting sick, rather than just prescribing drugs whenever they're already at that stage. Other than what we're doing right now with coronavirus, the other organizations I'd like to touch upon is Fighting AIDS with Nutrition. That I'm currently vice president for that organization at our school, and that's the connection with World Medical Relief, because it's based in the world headquarters of World Medical Relief in Southfield, Michigan. And Fighting AIDS with Nutrition, what they do is they send liquid nutrition like Boost or Ensure to people living with HIV. It first started in sub-Saharan Africa, in those countries where the AIDS epidemic hit very hard. And in the recent years, they've expanded to other countries in Africa, as well as in the Middle East, and Asia, South America. My role, at least this past year, was trying to expand our services to the local community here in Detroit. There are a lot of cases of HIV/AIDS, people living with HIV/AIDS here in Detroit. And with the liquid nutrition that we were sending out to these patients in Africa, it takes several months before it can get shipped to Africa. So sometimes our liquid nutrition would expire, or it would be very close to expiring. So, we took that problem and, made a partnership with Wayne Health so that these soon to expire liquid nutrition boxes could be distributed to patients living with HIV/AIDS here in Detroit before they expire. And the correlation there, like as a pharmacist, we're always here. People think about, just drug therapy, but there's so much more to being a pharmacist. It's also counseling your patients and giving them information about non-pharmacologic treatments or preventative ways that, can keep them healthy. And for these patients living with HIV/AIDS, even if they're getting their ARV or antiretroviral medications, if they are malnourished or if they're wasting away, which is a very, telltale sign of HIV/AIDS, their drug therapies will not be as effective. So that's where our liquid nutrition program comes in. So,
actually, I really love that program. Frank Julian's received the Rising Phoenix Award from us in the past as well. And it's amazing what the work is.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that with these people, there's a connection with the Rising Phoenix Award, because just look at this, the connection with Pastor Frank, with Dr. Sampson. They've inspired me in ways as well, and I know that I've inspired them with my story as well. And it's an honor to be telling it, so that maybe, who knows, another connection of someone that we know could be inspired and win this award in the future.